The blizzard arrived without warning. The sky, once a steel-grey expanse, descended into chaos as furious winds screamed through the valleys and mountains. Snow fell in suffocating sheets, blotting out the horizon and swallowing the world in an unforgiving white abyss. In the heart of the storm, a small town named Frosthaven lay vulnerable. Nestled in a remote mountain range, its inhabitants had grown accustomed to harsh winters. But this storm was unlike anything they had ever faced. It was not just nature's fury. It was something darker, something malevolent.
The first victims.
As night fell, the storm grew fiercer. The snow piled against doors and windows, sealing homes in icy tombs. Streets became unrecognizable, buried under drifts taller than a man. Power lines snapped under the weight of ice, plunging the town into darkness. In one home, a young man named Elliot ventured out to check on a neighbor. He never returned. Hours later, his body was found just outside his home, frozen solid, his eyes wide with terror. His mother's screams echoed through the night, carried by the howling winds. Word spread quickly. Those who had ventured out to search for him spoke of shadows moving in the storm, shapes that defied reason. The snowstorm had become a predator, hunting anyone foolish enough to challenge it.
The town struggle.
Panic began to set in. Families huddled together in their homes, the cold creeping into their bones as the storm continued to rage. Supplies dwindled. The food in pantries and the firewood in hearths were no match for the relentless freeze. Desperation led some to venture out in search of help. A group of men braved the storm, aiming to reach a ranger station 2 miles away. They tied themselves together with rope, trudging through waist-deep snow, their breaths frosting the scarves wrapped tightly around their faces. Hours passed, but they did not return. Days later, when the storm began to ease, their bodies were discovered frozen in grotesque positions, their faces twisted in horror. The rope had been severed, not frayed by the wind, but cut cleanly as if by an unseen blade.
The dark revelation.
Among the townsfolk was an elderly woman named Agatha, who had lived in Frosthaven her entire life. She spoke of an old legend, a tale passed down by her ancestors. The storm, she claimed, was no ordinary blizzard. It was the White Death, a curse that descended upon those who had defiled the land. Years ago, Frosthaven's founders had driven out the native tribes who once lived in harmony with the mountains. Their sacred grounds were destroyed, their spirits scattered. The storm, Agatha whispered, was their vengeance, a force that would not stop until every soul in Frosthaven was claimed. Her warnings were dismissed by most, but fear took root in the hearts of the townspeople.
The final night.
As the storm entered its 4th day, the town fell into chaos. The walls of homes began to crack under the weight of snow. Families turned on one another, their fear manifesting in violence. A man, driven mad by hunger and despair, attacked his wife and child with an axe, only to succumb to the cold minutes later. Those who fled their homes found no refuge outside. The snowstorm devoured them, their screams lost in the gale. In the town square, the remaining survivors gathered in a futile attempt to fight back. They built a massive fire, its flames roaring against the cold. But the storm was unyielding. The fire flickered and died, its embers swallowed by the snow.
The end.
By the time the storm finally subsided, Frosthaven was no more. The town lay buried beneath feet of snow, its buildings reduced to hollow shells. Search parties from neighboring towns arrived weeks later, only to find a frozen wasteland. They uncovered bodies, hundreds of them preserved in ice, their faces etched with terror. But what truly horrified them were the markings in the snow, massive, claw-like impressions that suggested something monstrous had moved among the drifts. The legend of Frosthaven and the White Death became a cautionary tale, a warning to those who dared to disrespect the land. And as the wind howled through the mountains, it carried whispers of the storm's return, promising that the White Death was not finished, not yet.